has designed this platform to educate, engage, and to empower all of you and hiring managers specifically about the workforce development initiatives, with the overall goal of achieving 1,500 program graduates in 2021. So we've got some work to do. We want to thank you again for participating in today's session, in which we're going to highlight work-based learning through our friends at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools and the Mayor's Youth Employment Program. At the end of this, at the end of those informational sessions, we will then have time for some open Q&A. So I encourage you to engage with us by either unmuting during the Q&A portion or putting the questions in the chat to Ashley Hedrick. We will then answer those questions after the presentations. So again, welcome, and we really encourage you to make sure that you're very active and engaged in our chat function. So why is this important? And I'm gonna just go through a few stats with you. 55% I'm sorry, I was muted. 55% of the region do not have a degree. And this is based on data from the US Census Bureau and the American Community Survey. So again, 55% of the region does not have a degree. For clarification, 45% have associates, bachelor's, and postgrad degrees. Nationally, the unemployment rate for high school graduates is double that of bachelor degree holders. For those without a high school diploma, it is triple the rate of bachelor degree holders. The unemployment rate is 4.7%. This is why this is so important. It's important to diversify your talent pool, and that's why, again, we're so excited to have these two programs to share with you. So I'm gonna, without further ado, get us started by introducing our first speaker, and that is Susan Gann Carroll with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. Susan Gann Carroll is the Director of Career and Technical Education at Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, and I've had the great fortune to work with Susan in a number of different platforms, all supporting the work that she is doing for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. In addition, so Susan's been with us here in Charlotte, fortunately, for about 6 years, and she's done a lot of this work in the Chicago public school system. So we are very fortunate, Susan, to have you in our community. We're looking so forward to your presentation this morning. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Susan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cherise. So Cherise sits on our CTE, and so does Dawn, sits on our CTE advisory board that represents our community. It represents our partners, our business partners, but it also represents our community partners as well. And I just want to say, I'm going to introduce Dawn a little bit later, but we are joined at the hip partners in this work. And we met when we met I guess probably the first couple of months that I was in Charlotte. There was an instant connection. So it's just an honor and a privilege to do this presentation today with Dawn. So let me tell you a little bit about career and technical education, because I think we make a lot of assumptions about what it is. And sometimes we go back to our own memory Rolodex about when we were in school and what we saw happening. And so a lot of times people equate it to shop class, and it still has that element to it, but it's so much more. So go ahead to the next slide. So let me kind of just lay the groundwork for that. So in North Carolina, as you may know, career and technical education is very well supported, which is very exciting. And with the most recent, it's a federal grant. So Perkins is the grant funding that comes from the federal government. And it is solely for the purpose of introducing students to careers and helping them get in touch with what we call kind of an early career idea about identity, about what they want to do. So in CMS, we touch 54,000 students. That's a lot, considering that our enrollment is around 140,000. So we're easily about 2/3 of that population, or 1/3 of that population. So when you think about that, we go from 6 to 12. And our middle school programs, of course, we want to do that exploration. So we work really hard, and we've been working for the last 5 years to kind of get a suite of STEM courses that are in almost every middle school. So if it's a language magnet, they might have coding. But if it's a normal regular middle school, they might have not only coding, but they would have automation and robotics, and design and modeling, which is an introduction to advanced manufacturing, as well as many other related fields like automotive and architecture. Medical detectives, which I think is kind of obvious what that's introducing. And then also we would have another course that at the moment is escaping me, but the whole point is to make sure that our students are really engaged in all of the STEM courses that are really important in our current employment. So that's not to say that our trades, which generally falls outside of STEM, but in CTE, we kind of feel like all of our courses fall into that STEM category. And our replacement workforce is very important as well. So you'll see in a moment, you'll see a lot of a variety of opportunities for students. So we have almost 550 teachers, and we are struggling like everyone else right now, just to kind of name where we are to fill positions. We are currently working with our friends at CPCC to fill an automotive position, so because we cannot find an automotive instructor. And so we are feeling the same pains that you all are feeling in your search for talented workforce to come in and fill those positions. We have 66 high school support staff. So their job at the high school level, we have a career development coordinator who works with Dawn's group and does our internships, but also our career and college promise. We also have a pathway development coordinator who is in charge of making sure our pathways are intact and kids are moving through them. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then we also have an instructional facilitator who works solely with just our CTE teachers. So I'm very grateful that in North Carolina, there is ample funding for us to really support, but it's never really enough. And then we have an awesome 21-person central office team that helps support all of those work streams. So all of those students are taking right now 82,000 courses, which is kind of mind-boggling. So let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to do at CTE. So go ahead to the next slide. So pathways. So what you're seeing on the slide, there's one of three, and I'm going to just briefly kind of give you an overview. We have taken what has been considered kind of a sea of electives and organized it so that students are able to study something deeply. They opt in, and they can opt in their freshman, sophomore year. Sometimes freshmen come in and they don't necessarily have space for electives, so they might opt in. Really now, students can complete a pathway even starting their junior year. So there's a lot of opportunity for entry points because we want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to study something deeply. Hopefully you see some things that are familiar. I want to point out a couple of things. One is that our relationship with Salesforce, we're the first district in the country to offer Salesforce admin. So when we looked at our marketing pathway and what was being offered at the state, it really looked like what I was studying back in whenever for marketing. And we wanted to make sure that we were offering something relevant. So we saw Salesforce over and over again in job descriptions. So we said, well, could we do that? So we are not clanging the bell of success just yet, but we are in our infancy stages. We have our initial group of like 5 teachers who are working on their Salesforce admin, and we have our second group of students. So let's talk about what does that look like in coursework. So a student would come in and they would take marketing as their first course, where they get a little introduction to Salesforce and what it is. Then they take another course called marketing application that kind of goes a little deeper. Then they have the opportunity to opt into customer relationship marketing, or CRM 1, which is our intro to CRM, which is where they take their certification. And then the second course is where they get that practical application. Now, we are offering that because the great state of North Carolina has seen a real need to make sure that local counties can do something that's very specific to their employment needs. And we hear Salesforce a lot when we're talking with our community partners. So we're really excited to be the only county in the state that's offering that. We hope that we're trying to push the envelope for the state to adopt something that is very relevant and really could be taught anywhere. Google Analytics, digital marketing is brand new as well. And so we're excited to offer that. So all of these are certifications that students can take and pass for free. We pay for that. That's where a major part of our budget goes. And if you're ever a part of hearing my soapbox, it is my philosophy and our district philosophy that if a student is enrolled in a course where there is a certification, they are expected to not only take it, but also pass it. And so that's been our North Star for the last 5 years. Thank you, COVID, for kind of giving us a disruption in what was a great trajectory, but we think we're going to be right back on top. So if you can go to the next slide, we're going to just go through the next two super quick. Again, you see a lot of STEM here. You see, and I would include carpentry into that STEM as well. Advanced manufacturing, automotive. So all of our automotive programs are NATEF certified, which is very important. Interior design, we just added Autodesk Revit, which is very important and relevant in the field of interior design. Go ahead to the next slide. So here's some of the ones that you might traditionally think of. So we have 2 nursing fundamental programs. We have one at Hawthorne, and we have a new one that is coming on board in at the Olympic Relief High School. By the way, if anyone knows any retired registered nurses that would like to instruct, we are still looking for a teacher. We've been looking for one for about the last 6 months. So would love to have them reach out to me. Would love to talk to somebody about that. Biomedical exploration is our project Lead the Way, and that's in more high schools. Public safety, again, is a magnet program that is at Military and Global Leadership, which is housed with Hawthorne. And then we have our business management, financial planning that are throughout the district. Every high school has one or the other, or sometimes both if their population is large enough. And then we have 3 cosmetology programs, and we have 9 culinary programs that I'm very excited about the growth potential for those as well. Next slide, please. So let's talk about how does this work. So again, we have the middle school exploration. Ideally, there is a communication that's happening between that high school and middle school, where the high school's coming in to kind of make the connections with the pathways. And the 6-fold you all will see, which once you see the 6-fold, you can see on the back page where each program is in the district for high school. You elect into a pathway. Everyone does not have to elect into a pathway. That's okay. And sometimes CPCC is where your pathway is at. We've had a couple of kids who have gone through welding at CPCC, which is an awesome addition and expansion that can happen through College and Career Promise if they don't find their pathway at their high school. So what is our outcome? Well, we really want kids to concentrate. That means they've completed a pathway. We want them to earn that advanced credential, and we want them to take part in advanced coursework. So a lot of our pathways are aligned to AP classes, but they're also aligned in an articulated agreement with CPCC. So we are in the process of renewing that, but each pathway will have a set of courses that if a student performs at a designated level, they then get that course waived as opposed to getting credit like College and Career Promise. That's probably another presentation, but just know that we're all working together to make sure that that student has some continuum into that post-secondary experience. And then our beloved internship. So this is where Dawn and I come into play, because both of us feel like a face-to-face internship, there's just nothing better for a student to experience. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of slides. Go ahead to the next slide. So where are we? Let me give you a couple of statistics. So out of our last year's class, 2021, 3,400. So we had about 9,700 seniors. We have not gotten our official graduate number yet. So I'm going to make this relevant to our kids that were counted as seniors. So 9,700 roughly seniors, 3,400 of them concentrated in the CTE pathway, which is really exciting. Go ahead, next slide. This is another statistic that is very exciting. So during their course of that same class, during the 4 years of high school, 69% of those seniors earned one or more credentials. And to put that into perspective, they actually earned a total of almost 11,000 CTE industry credentials. And those were not like small credentials. We had over 1,000 in Microsoft Office. We had over 400 who got their ASE certifications or a safety certification. We had 800 who had Autodesk. So these were very important certifications. Go ahead. Oh, I just spoiled that, didn't I? So you can see down here, so, oops, go back. So 800 had their Adobe certification, and then 758 had something related to their automotive. And then 400 had their Autodesk, Revit, or their certified SolidWorks. And just so you know, like if you're going to be an architect, you need those certifications. So it's really exciting to me that we can provide that as a service to our students before they go to college, because in college, they don't pay for you to get that. You have to get that on your own. So you can check the box and know that you're good to go. Okay, next slide. So if you would like to learn more about CTE, you can go to our website. So we started this website in 17, 18, 19, and it's discovercte.com. And I'm not going to play the video for you. I just want you to see that, especially if you have children at home, it's a great thing to go explore, because there's very short videos that go through each pathway. And it's an opportunity to sit with your student and really look at what are the opportunities, because it lays out the coursework, it lays out the articulated credit, and you get to see kind of a little bit about a glimpse of what happens in that classroom. So I encourage you to go and check that out sometime soon. So go ahead. So let's talk a little bit about internships. So before we get to our main partner, Mayor's Youth, I want to talk about some of the other relationships that have developed over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. I have to say that for internships, we increased our work-based learning just an amazing amount. And I think partially it was because the virtual environment allowed us to reach more students. So Road to Hire, which I know there's already been a presentation by The Rock and Road to Hire, huge partners in the work. And what we've done with both of those partners is we've embedded their training within the school day, because that is our way to make sure that it's most equitable and most students have access to that. And those two programs specifically are targeted at our Title I high schools. We're really excited to see how Road to Hire has grown. They are now in all six Title I high schools. YTAC is Tariq Bakari's baby. And so he has continued to grow that and expanded it across the state, and I know into other states. But we have kids every session that he has, we blast it out and kids take advantage of that. And it's another way for them to get introduced to software development, coding through gaming. Rise to Success, amazing program that we've been working with for a couple of years. And then Scott Clark. So that's, I wanted you to see Scott Clark, because you can see it's only 3 students, but that's important. Even if someone can do just 3 students, that's okay. We want you to engage with our students, because that experience is what can help paint their future. So we have kids who are working in automotive and also in marketing at Scott Clark, and they do that during the school year. So all of these programs that you see, except for Builders Bridge and Atrium, are happening throughout the school year. And so those are all very important. We want to add to that if we can. And so our door is always open for that opportunity. And we're also developing our virtual internships, which of course Mayor's Youth partnered with us to bring just a completely different way of addressing internships. And so what we're hoping is to create a much broader pipeline for Mayor's Youth, that they will just have so many students applying to their program that they just won't even know what to do, and they'll have to double their staff in order to take on the number of students for summer internships. But more about that, I'm sure Dawn is going to touch on that as well. So next slide. So let me talk a little bit about Mayor's Youth and our relationship. So really we could not do this internship work without our partners at Mayor's Youth. They are so critical. Dawn and her team we kind of work together almost as one team. And we are so grateful for all of the trailblazing that they do, for all of the innovation that they do. And they really just take this market segment and really make it sing for our students. So I said earlier that Dawn and I met probably the first month or two that I was on board. We immediately connected. We affectionately, I'm Oprah, she's Gail, she named me Oprah. But it's really that kind of sisterhood that's really taking our kids and saying, what else can we do to help support them? So Dawn, I'm so happy to introduce my partner. I don't want to call partner in crime, because it's partner in good. Because Dawn has been with the city for 19 and a half years. So she has seen the city grow, she's seen the program grow, and it has been through her leadership that has happened. She is the manager of youth programs and business partnerships, which is housed in the Department of Housing and Neighborhood Services. So it is just with my super great honor that I introduce Dawn and turn this presentation over to her.
Susan, thank you so much for that warm introduction. As Susan said earlier, CMS and the Mayor's Youth Employment Program really are aligned at the hip. My staff and I depend on CMS to refer youth and all youth who are interested in participating in our program. And once those youth have been vetted, we get to connect them to a paid internship. So it's a win-win partnership with CMS, believe you me. We are definitely aligned in how we want to care for our youth. And it brings us a lot of joy to be able to work with CMS on a continual basis. So I'd like to first thank you for making time this morning to be with us. And I'd like to also thank my wonderful superstar staff. Do you know that we serve over 1,200 youth annually through the job and career readiness training and our paid internships? And guess what? We're a team of 7, including myself. So this team is very small, but we're mighty when it comes to how many youth we serve annually. Then I'd like to thank the CELC for having me today, and the Charlotte Business Alliance for having me today. It means a lot for us to be engaged with these two entities and to share our story with them and have them to help us to share that with the general populace. It's just a win-win. It's a wonderful opportunity. So thank you so much. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to share a video which highlights the Mayor's Youth Employment Program award-winning, regional, and nationally recognized virtual career pathways program. The Maya virtual pathways were created during the height of the pandemic last year. We used the pathways to pivot our program while other programs regionally and nationally were shutting down. and their programs were not able to move forward because of the pandemic. Well, the MIAP was busy providing paid work-based learning opportunities for over 370 youth during the pandemic. So let's talk about the pathways and let's take a look at them now. Please start the video. So in the video, we featured all 6 of the virtual pathways that we offered last summer, which are healthcare, innovation, finance, sports marketing, advanced manufacturing, and technology. These pathways align with CTE pathways, and the beauty of that is it allows us to layer upon each other's work to provide exposure to youth who are engaged in the pathways as well through CMS. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, you can stay on that slide. You can stay on that slide. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So I won't make you sit through me reading our full vision statement and our mission, but I would like to share our mission statement with you because it speaks volumes about our program. The mission of the Mayor's Youth Employment Program is to provide all Charlotte's youth with equitable career development opportunities to explore the world of work, to build social capital, and to enhance economic mobility. As our mission states, we serve all Charlotte youth, and that includes CMS, charter, private, e-learning, and homeschools. That also includes all Title I schools, all focus area and priority schools as well, regardless of their GPA or their zip code. For us, all means all. Next slide, please. So why the MIAP? Why our program? We have over 35 years of experience providing equitable career exploration opportunities for thousands of youth in the city of Charlotte. Not only do we strive to serve all Charlotte youth, we want to support them in pursuing all careers. And we provide work-based learning in all career fields. So based upon the interests of the youth and our industry recruitment, we're matching them together for these opportunities. Next slide, please. Most of you are not familiar with how the MIAP operates, so let me share an abbreviated version of our operation process. First, we provide paid work experiences starting at $10 an hour. And I say starting at because some of our employers will start the students at $15, even $20 an hour. Our minimum wage is still $7.25 per hour, nationally. But we want to make sure that we are providing that economic mobility, that upward mobility opportunity. So we're definitely providing the $10 so we can help to do that. So our youth are also paid well. Our participants typically work about 25 hours per week for 6 weeks during the summer. They're prepared for the world of work by completing our jobs and career readiness training. And that's very important. It's a very important training. It includes soft skills as well as essential skills. Essential skills like social emotional intelligence, communications, resume writing, and others. So that job and career readiness training helps to prepare them for the world of work. So next, our participants undergo a virtual interview process. They also have to complete a drug and background screening, and then they're matched with a host employer, again, based on their career interests. Our partnership with CMS allows us to have access to team leaders who monitor and assist youth and host employers throughout the internship experience. So why is it important? This is important for a number of reasons, but mainly because of Charlotte's economic mobility standing. Do you know that 30% of youth who live along corridors of opportunity are neither working nor in school? Let me repeat that. 30% of our youth who live along the corridors of opportunity are neither working nor in school. That's why the Mayor's Youth Employment Program works so hard with CMS to address every youth right where they are. Next slide, please. So I've shared a little about our youth. Now I'd like to turn my attention to our wonderful host employers who offer one-of-a-kind opportunities that are traditional, virtual, or hybrid. And folks like the CELC, Bank of America, Truist, Duke Energy, Siemens, Sealed Air, and Novant also support our youth who may be placed with a nonprofit organization or may be placed in a Maya virtual internship opportunity. All these partners that you see on our brand wall, all 52 of them, play a major role in moving the Maya closer to scale. And that scale is 1,000 or more youth served with work-based learning experiences annually. So we simply could not do the work that we do without these 52 partners who are leaders in our community and who care about this work. We're so grateful to have them as partners. Next slide, please. So next, I'd like to talk about our host employer experience. It's made up of 4 components: impact, relationships, job-ready youth, and creative. Next slide, please. In terms of impact, we served 762 youth in our job and career readiness training just this past summer. We also had 455 youth provided a paid internship, and we had 52 host employers. And of course, we provided the 6 nationally recognized virtual pathways for youth. And just a reminder, that was healthcare, positions in innovations, positions in marketing and business, in finance, in IT, in advanced manufacturing as well. The Maya virtual platform was recognized by the governor's office and the Bloomberg report. And we also received the Governor's Award of Distinction for innovative virtual partnerships. And we're most proud of that. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of work-based learning? Well, what the Chetty study and our own Leading on Opportunity study taught us is that work-based learning matters, right? It matters. In a 7-year study of one California work-based learning program, researchers found that minority students participating in the program entered college at twice the rate of non-participating minority students, and that college enrollment rates were higher for all students in the program when compared to local and state student populations. So what Dr. Chatty noted is true. When you lift this cohort with work-based learning, with training, with internships and apprenticeships, you lift them all. Next slide, please. Now I'd like to share some of our demographic data to help you better understand who we're serving. 73% of our youth we served identified with a racial group other than white. 37% have multilingual ability in one or more of 24 languages. And 34% reported being eligible for free and reduced lunch. So as you can see, the MyUp focuses on serving those who have the greatest needs, including those affected by economic mobility. You've heard me a lot, you've heard me talk a lot right now. So I'm gonna stop talking for just a moment. And I'm going to introduce to you one of our host employers, Siemens Energy. They've been supporting the Mayor's Youth Employment Program for over a decade. And representing Siemens today is Mike Hogan. Mike is the technical training specialist for Siemens Energy. Mike, the floor is yours.
Dawn, thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction, and I appreciate the time this morning to really talk about our experiences with MyUp. I can say that we are very proud at Siemens Energy to be a longtime supporter of the MyUp program. It has been an opportunity for us. We see the advantages in not only for us and our future workforce, but also, as Dawn mentioned, rising all boats and allowing those work-based learning experiences to filter out into the lives of the MyUp students and those that they come into contact with. And so we're very excited about all the work that has taken place. I have to share that we've also been very impressed. We heard the connection, the tie between CMS and the CTE pathways, and we heard Dawn talk about some of the training that goes into the MyUp program that students get to take advantage of. And we've been very impressed with students when they come to us to participate in those hosted internships during the summer, just how prepared they are. In fact, this last group that we had summer before the pandemic summer, we had to extend those students. They were working on projects and doing such great work for us. We had to extend those students. I had supervisors that would say, can I keep them? Can I keep them for just another month? Can I extend them just for a few more weeks? Because they were doing great work for us, and they were learning. And we focus on Siemens Energy being a global company and having a manufacturing setting in Charlotte, and that's true. But there's so many opportunities that exist within Siemens Energy. And so we've got students that are looking at the advanced manufacturing aspect of Siemens Energy, but also the IT, also project management. There's so many other pieces that come into play. We all understand, I think, better now than ever before, the importance of logistics and the supply chain. Well, they get to participate with our folks as we're working through some of those supply chain issues. And so it's been a great opportunity for us to host MyUp students. I'd also say that our ability to participate in the work with the virtual advanced manufacturing pathway has been something that we're also very proud of, to be able to extend the reach of MyUp into other areas and more than those that just we can host on our campus. It's exciting work, and it's necessary work that has to take place for our future as a company to develop our future workforce. But once again, we are so we believe in the fact that all of that training, it goes back not just for that one, but to everybody they touch. And so we're excited about our continued support of MyUp, and thank you all for the time. And I look forward to the questions later. Thank you, Dawn.
You're quite welcome. Thank you, Mike. And thank you for those wonderful sentiments. So next slide, please. Of course, our story would not be complete if we didn't hear from one of our MyUp alumni. I'm proud to introduce to you Cali Montez, who interned with the MyUp in the Siemens virtual pathway in 2020 and in a traditional internship with Balfour Beatty summer of 2021. Caleb will be returning back to Balfour next summer as a college intern. But this past summer, while completing his senior year in high school, Caleb won second place in a design contest against current college interns. So here to share a little bit about his experience in the MIEP is Caleb Montez. Caleb, the floor is yours as well.
Hello, thank you for introducing me, Dawn. It's nice to meet everyone. My name is Cali Montez. I am currently an aspiring mechanical engineer who is attending Harper Middle College High School. Over the past 2 summers, MIEP has provided many ample opportunities for me to grow. 2 summers ago, I interned with Siemens Energy in the advanced manufacturing and logistics pathway. I was able to look at Charlotte from a different lens and see the numbers behind Charlotte, like how much carbon emission was emitted from the transportation and infrastructure. And my team and I was tasked with finding ways to reduce that. We looked at revamping the transportation system. We looked at finding ways to just improve infrastructure, and just being able to do that was really impactful. Just being able to look at the city you live in and just be like, all right, we can fix this and this. It was really nice. And also this past summer, I was able to intern with Balfour Beatty. I was able to actually physically, build Charlotte. I was able to help build infrastructure and such. I was in the pre-construction department. So I was helping, with behind the scenes and such. I was tasked with a wonderful group who taught me how to do estimates, tell a client how much it's going to cost to build this building. And I was also able to find how much material is needed to build a certain infrastructure. I also really like the Mayor's Youth Employment Program because I feel like they prepare every intern. Because as previously mentioned, every intern has to go through a career and job readiness training. And with that, you come out feeling more confident with interviews, with how to conduct yourself in the work environment, and just how to also do customer service too. I was able to use that training, apply it to whenever I was at Siemens Energy, Balfour Beatty, and also whenever I was looking for, a part-time job. So it's really flexible how you can use the skills they teach you and such. As a first-generation college student, it could be really hard knowing where to go, what steps to take, because, previous family members never been through this. So it's all new and such. But with the Mayor's Youth Employment Program, I feel really confident about my future and what steps I'm planning to take. During my internship with Siemens Energy, I was able to talk to several engineers and figure out what I needed to do to become a professional licensed engineer. I now know that there's tests that have to be taken. I have to have a certain years of work experience and what type of degree is needed to become a professional licensed engineer. So they helped me basically revamp my path of becoming an engineer, and I'm really grateful for that. With Balfour Beatty, I feel more solidified in becoming an engineer now. I talked with several engineers and seen how flexible a mechanical engineering degree is. Some of them are able to work in both in the construction field, and how you're able to also work in automation, robotics, and aerospace. It's just such a flexible career that I'm really interested in going towards it. As previously mentioned, I was also able to participate in a contest and won second place amongst other college students. And that really just boosted my confidence right there and then. And I feel like that was hugely partly, due to the MIEP training, the people I worked with, just all building me up along the way. I'm really grateful for that. I feel like high schoolers are in a lot of similar position as I'm in. They will be greatly impacted by interning with companies such as Siemens Energy and, Balfour Beatty. And, I just feel more confident in my future. And I strongly urge students whenever I talk to them to go for this internship, because it really does open opportunities and such. Some of them don't know where to go, where to start whenever looking for an internship, and I try to guide them along the way. I know there's a coworker who I introduced to the program, and also my siblings too. I'm getting them into it. My brother was also able to participate last year. And I feel really confident that I had the same experience that I did in person as in online. I gained the same valuable work experience. It was really nice. And it really did help me boost my confidence. I feel like if you just present this idea to the youth, that they'll really go for it and such. They really would take this opportunity. But I would like to say thank you again for everyone and everything. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Caleb. Thank both of you, Mike and Caleb, for joining us today and sharing your experience with the MyUp. I really appreciate that. Next slide, please. Now we've arrived at another important part of the MyUp, you getting involved. And it's quite simple. First, you reach out to us via email at myep@charlottenc.gov. Again, you reach out to us via email at myep@charlottenc.gov. We'll email you a link to our host employer application, and we'll chat with you regarding your organization's specifics so that we can match you with the best candidate. For those of you who cannot host a youth in person, right? You can do a hybrid internship, or if you're not able to host an internship, an intern at all on your campus, you can sponsor a virtual pathway. So you can sponsor health science or advanced manufacturing or STEAM, one of those pathways, or you can sponsor a youth working with a nonprofit organization, adding those extra hands that they need. And you can also sponsor youth completing a virtual pathway, which we need a lot of sponsorships of that particular entity. So the bottom line is, we are in this together. We need your support so that we can change the economic outlook for Charlotte's workforce, and we can do that together. So in closing, I'd like to share a video from our mayor, Mayor Vi Lyles, and then I'll turn things back over to Sharice Walker. I want to thank you all for listening, and thank you for talking with me after this about ways that you can support the Mayor's Youth Employment Program. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mayor Vi Lyles, and I am delighted to be celebrating 35 years of the Mayor's Youth Employment Program in Charlotte. This initiative has become a national model of local innovation and is responsible for changing the lives of thousands of participants. Last year, despite the pandemic, 379 teens joined in the 2020 MyUp. They worked more than 38,000 hours and earned more than $400,000 as a cohort. Because of COVID-19, 291 students worked in our first ever virtual program last summer. It was so successful that it gained statewide and national recognition. And the programs across the country are now looking to Charlotte for how to help their own city's young people. This year, more than 600 students have applied, and we are hoping to give them the same opportunities we have given other students in the years past. I want to thank the participating Charlotte businesses that continue to offer work experience for our MyUp high school students. For those that want to participate this year, learn more at charlottenc.gov/MyUp. I am so proud to support MyUp because it provides the opportunity for upward mobility that our young people need and deserve. Together, we have achieved a 35-year track record of success, and I know we have much more to come. Happy 35th anniversary to the Mayor's Youth Employment Program.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Mike. This was some really impactful information that you imparted on our audience this morning. A lot of the numbers, I think, really just speak to the dedication and work that you all do and the success rates that you've indicated, and I just captured just a few of those. Susan, the fact that 99% of CTE participants actually graduate is a phenomenal accomplishment. Dawn, 762 youth are served through this program. 52 of the companies that you captured on your brand wall, so important. But as important, I think, was the 30% of youth who live in corridors of opportunity are still not working and they're still not in school. So there are incredible opportunities to help bolster the work that each of you do. Caleb, your story was so impactful, and there was a lot of activity in the chat around what you shared. So thank you for that. I'm gonna just roll us right into the questions. We've already got some activity in the chat for those that really have some really great questions. I want to start with Elaine Loyak. Elaine, I think you had a couple of questions that you were ready to talk about, and feel free to go off mute and share those questions with our speakers.
All right, thanks, Charisse, and good morning, everyone. And I want to say thank you to Susan, Dawn, Mike, and Caleb for joining us this morning, because this is just such an uplifting way to start the day, and I appreciate it. So I did have two questions. I'm, again, Elaine Moyak. I'm with Delta Dental. We're a not-for-profit dental insurance carrier. And my first question is probably more for Susan, and that is, do you have the dollar amount of the value of, for example, the 2021 year, of the value of the certifications that these students earned? And the second question, possibly for you and Dawn, is as a dental insurance carrier, it is dental related. We have the largest network of dentists in the state. And what we're hearing from our public health partners, as well as our private practice dentists, is there is a shortage of dental assistants, dental hygienists. 98% of the counties in North Carolina are designated as dental health provider shortage areas. Mecklenburg County is not one, but interestingly and sadly, Charlotte itself is one. So my bottom line question is, have you considered adding in that health science pathway, a dental assisting pathway? And I'll go ahead and say thank you.
Thanks for your question. So we have tried unsuccessfully to get the value, because we get some price differentials for our certifications, because we buy such a huge volume. We probably buy almost $500,000 worth of certifications across all of our pathways. So we've done some mining, but we've been unsuccessful to actually nail down like this sort of, if I was an individual, I would be paying this much for the certification. And I think it depends on the level, you know, the ones that we purchase through Certiport, like Revit, Autodesk, those are pretty high dollar out-of-pocket certifications. Other ones like a ServSafe for culinary, I think those are usually like $25 is what we're charged. So it really, it's varies widely. But the great thing is, like, how many times have we gone into a restaurant and seen a ServSafe poster up on the wall, right? You got to have someone with ServSafe if you have anything to do with food. So we're going to continue to keep trying to crack that nut, but we just haven't had anyone who can really sit down and just mine through all of it to figure out what that dollar value is. But great question.
And Elaine, if I can add to that, you know, we are limited in the number of virtual pathways that we can offer, and those are based upon the interests, the career interests of our youth participating. But what we do have is a robust side dental partnership with just a couple of offices to host students on our traditional side. We have more interest from the students than we actually have dental partners. And so we would love to add your company as a dental partner and be able to provide, you know, more internships, more opportunities for you guys to build your workforce.
Thank you both.
My pleasure.
Thank you for the question, Elaine. We have time for one more question. This was such an impactful session. We're now running short on time, unfortunately. But I did want to ask one other question from the chat, and it had to do, I think, again, with certifications. I'm just trying to, bear with me, roll through those questions again. Okay, there was one question about Charlotte is a hub for many supply chain and logistics company. Is there a program that is offered for a career in logistics specifically?
So we have been searching, so great question, and that comes up frequently. We've been looking for a great curriculum. Again, when you think about building that out, so we would need to wait for the next bond, but it's definitely top of mind as something that we need to have addressed somewhere. One of the things to understand about our funding is that it's limited to purchasing and plugging it into the wall. So we can't go into a school and renovate a room because that is outside of the scope of our grant. But absolutely, we think that that's a very important pathway that we need to figure out a way to get that represented.
And as Caleb mentioned, when he spoke about being in the innovation pathway, that innovation pathway also included logistics, which gave them a lot of exposure. So we don't necessarily have just one logistics pathway, but we have an innovation pathway that encompassed logistics also.
Awesome. Thank you for addressing that question, Dawn and Susan. So now we're at the point in the program where, again, thank you to everybody that provided such rich information. Dawn and Susan, it's always a joy to work with you, but we know that you need our support. We're doing this for a reason. There is a call to action that we are asking of our audience members. One, both Susan and Dawn provided some information in the chat on ways to get connected to them directly and also some resourceful information. So please pay attention to that. But the direct call to action is think about your partnerships with these programs and share with employers the hiring opportunities that were provided today. I think that the talent pool, I think that Mike spoke to, these are very engaged young people that are ready to work. Next, please complete the follow-up assessment that will be sent over to you following this session. And there will be a link to a web page that will also encompass all of the information that you've learned today. Continue to push the boundaries of what's possible for talent pipelines. This is such a unique time and opportunity. Continue to push those boundaries within your organizations. Identify roles that are in demand and find people in the community that would be a good fit. There's a lot of undiscovered talent out there. And again, thank you for joining us. Please tap into the information that's in the chat. Before we adjourn, please take a moment to listen to our closing video with Carol Lovin, the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance 2021 Chair.
Thank you so much for being with us today and for your commitment to providing opportunity for all. I'm Carol Lovin, Executive Vice President, Chief Integration Officer, and System Chief of Staff for Atrium Health. And I'm also very proud to be the 2021 Chair of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. In addition to the assessment and commitment tools mentioned earlier, we've launched a web page to provide you with the latest information on these programs. The follow-up email will include more details on the programs and how to further engage. Now, one thing you may know is that the Charlotte Alliance's theme this year is Forward Together. We're working to create economic opportunities and prosperity for all. And to do that, we've got to think in new and different ways with respect to our hiring practices and training methods. So when I think about Atrium Health and what we're doing here, one top of mind example is our Restorative Pathways program. In partnership with City Startup Labs, a Charlotte area nonprofit, we're extending our diversity and inclusion efforts to hire 20 justice-involved individuals into select roles. We've already identified the jobs and we're training the supervisors, so we're on our way. As we continue to advance equitable economic growth, it's more than just you or me. It's going to take all of us. And when we say alliance, those first three letters do mean all of us working together. So please join us in committing to, first, non-traditional hiring options, secondly, building relationships with these programs, and thirdly, ultimately hiring from them to show that we're really serious about the for all. Thank you for joining us today and moving the Charlotte region forward together.
Thank you, Carol. And thank you, audience members and participants, for joining us today. Have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, Sharice. It was an awesome opportunity.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.